Welcome in and hello. If you love games as much as I do and like to show off your Steam achievements to all your friends, then you're in the right place. This is where you belong, and I'm so glad to have you here. Today I have a guide for the first 2 Steam achievements that you should get in Baldur's Gate 3. If you want to 100% this game on Steam, you should absolutely start your playthrough by killing Commander Zhalk on the Nautiloid. This will give you the best melee starting weapon in the game, which can last you until Act 2. It will also immediately start you off at level 2, right after finishing the tutorial zone, making the rest of the early game much easier. Most importantly though, for IRL loot goblins like you and I, this will get you started on your journey to add Baldur's Gate 3 to your completionist showcase on Steam. So, let's get started. So to start off, create a new game with a new save file. The tutorial zone can only be accessed at the beginning of a new game. Don't be worried if you've already started your first playthrough. You will be able to do this for your second playthrough, which is needed to 100% this game on Steam, as you will need to finish the game as a Dark Urge and a non-Dark Urge to get all the possible endings. If you want to see my guide on how to get all the different endings in Baldur's Gate 3 and the Steam achievements that come along with them, you can find that as a separate video on my channel, which goes more in depth on that. Commander Zhalk can be pretty tricky to take down, with resistance to slashing, piercing, bludgeoning, fire, cold, lightning, and poison damage. You can play any race and class you want in order to do this, but I find Cleric to be the easiest for myself. It gets access to the cantrip Sacred Flame that deals radiant damage, which Commander Zhalk will take full damage from, and it has a fantastic range. Cleric also gets the highest damaging first level spell in the game, Inflict Wounds. This spell does necrotic damage, which again, Commander Zhalk will take full damage from. Getting a couple of these off in the fight can sway getting a kill or not in your favor. But other classes and strategies can totally work here. I selected the half Wood Elf, which is simply the most played race as of today, but you can choose anything you'd like for the build that you're going for. It's not going to have a big impact on this fight. The first important thing you're going to need to do is take this elevator up to the second level, where you're going to find a new friend called Us. A successful Arcana check will tell you it's an Intellect Devourer, but it's going to be a much needed ally in the fight against Commander Zhalk. Once you have Us in your party, continue along this path until you run into Lyzel, your first real companion in Baldur's Gate 3. She's going to be the one that you equip the Burning Blade to, as she is a fighter herself. After she joins your party, you're going to have an extremely easy fight against a couple of imps, as the game is going to teach you the basics of combat. After the fight, you need to make sure to loot this Mind Flayer here, as they have a potion of speed. This potion will be vital in the fight against Commander Zhalk, letting us haste an ally for 3 turns to get some extra actions. In the next room, feel free to kill these cultists that are unconscious before they wake up for some free XP. And then, we're going to need to get Shadowheart out of her pod to help us kill that devil. As a cleric herself, you should already know exactly why she's going to be so useful. To unlock her pod, go to the room adjacent to the one she's in, loot both bodies on the floor and the chest at the back of the room. This is going to get you the key needed to free her, and a key for a chest with some gold and a gemstone. Interact with the console next to Shadowheart to activate it, which works unless you roll a natural 1 on your wisdom check to release her, so watch out for that, but it's never happened to me before. You now have everything that you need to kill Commander Zhalk, but before you run into the fight, you'll want to prepare for it. The first thing you'll want to do is equip Lyzel with a crossbow for a little extra damage on her ranged attack should that come up. Then, you'll want to prepare the command spell on Shadowheart, and since I'm a cleric, I take the spell too. Lastly, you'll want to grab the explosive barrel right next to Shadowheart's pod that you released her from. Now you're ready for the fight. Head inside and take on Commander Zhalk and all his minions. you're going to want to do as much damage to Commander Zhalk during this fight as possible. So we're going to use all of our little tricks we've picked up along the way. In the room, you're going to want to make your way over to these 3 explosive barrels for the finishing blow on Commander Zhalk. Shadowheart has the Firebolt cantrip, which is the easiest way to safely detonate these from a distance. We're also going to want to throw our Potion of Speed we got earlier on the Mind Flayer to give him 3 turns of haste. I got a bit lucky when I did this, as it also splashed on us since I put them so close together. Since Commander Zhalk is not resistant to psychic damage, this is the greatest damage output we can rely on for the total of this fight. Lastly, we're going to cast Command on Commander Zhalk, ordering him to drop his ever-burning blade. We can then equip this during the fight to Lyzel, even though equipping an item in combat is going to take a full action. With his sword now completely gone, he's going to kill the Mind Flayer much slower, with only his fists available for punching, letting our squid ally make many more attacks throughout the fight for big damage. And that's all you need to do. It might take a couple of tries to do this, as personally, I did it on my second try. On my first attempt, I got blown up by the devil reinforcements that appear if you take too long. They used their own firebolt to blow up the explosive barrels I set out before I could move the party away from them, so don't make that mistake. As soon as Commander Zhalk dies, have a character interact with the ship's panel to trigger the cutscene to leave. It does not take an action, so you can use it like I did here to finish off Commander Zhalk and then trigger the cutscene if you need to. Also, any companions that are downed will be alive when found later, but if they do die during this fight, you will find them dead later. You can bring them back with a Scroll of Resurrection, but some players won't like this and may reset. Most importantly, as soon as you begin in the open world section of this game, you're going to be level 2. Now you're ready to explore Act 1 with that early power spike and have both of those Steam achievements unlocked. If you want to see more BG3 guides, check out the other videos here on the channel. If this did happen to help you out, or you're feeling generous today, consider leaving a like, perhaps even share this video with a friend of yours. It really helps out the channel. Now, really hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you little goobs later.